Okay, we'll call the Lincoln City Council meeting to order. Today is Thursday, March 20th, 2025. It is 6 p.m. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Listen to reading from the 63rd Psalm. O God, you are my God. I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh faints for you, as in a dry and weary land. So I have looked upon you in the sanctuary, beholding your power and glory. Because your steadfast love is better than life, my lips will praise you. So I will bless you as long as I live. I will lift up my hands and call on your name. My soul is satisfied as with a rich feast, and my mouth praises you with joyful lips. When I think of you on my bed, and meditate on you in the watches of the night. For you have been my help, and in the shadow of your wings I sing for joy. My soul clings to you, your right hand upholds me. Let's pray. Lord God, our souls do indeed thirst for you and hunger for you. We pray that you would send your Spirit to us to satiate that thirst and to satisfy that hunger. We pray that you will be with us this evening, guiding the minds, the hearts, and the desires of this community to unify them with the leaders that they have elected. We pray that the voices that will be heard here will speak in truth, justice, love, and mercy. We pray that you fill all of our hearts with the love that you give us. Pray this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Archivia here. Fingers
Here.
Winston
Here.
and Mayor Burton.
Here. Excuse me. First, we have the agenda approval.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda. Under the planning, I'd like to say discussion for procurement and disposition ordinance.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Bjornstad,
I'll second that motion.
second by Councilman Davis. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And so moved. And then I would also like to move to amend the agenda, adding number the 12 to insert and move down 12 and 13 respectively. So to affirm the fire emergency and burn restrictions tied to daily fire danger rating declaration. I'd be looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve that amended agenda.
A motion by Councilman Davis. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A second by Councilman Bjornstad. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And so moved. Next, we have our public comment period. Anyone in the audience that would like to step forward?
I'd like to talk about annexes.
You're under the normal agenda, sir. Public comment period. Second third and final call for public comment. Hearing none, we'll move on under old business number 8, Jake break ordinance, first reading. We have, oh goodness sakes, I apologize. Consent agenda, I would like to move to amend the consent agenda also to include the March payables.
I'll make a motion to approve that amended consent agenda.
And second,
I'll second the motion.
second by Councilman Artavia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so number 7 under consent agenda, we have the March 6, 2025 minutes and the March payables.
Make a motion to approve the March payables and, sorry, what was the first you said?
The March 6th.
The March sixth
Minutes.
minutes, jeez, sorry.
Okay, first by Councilman Davis. Is there a second?
A second.
A second by Councilman Bjornstad. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. And now we'll carry on to number 8. Thank you.
Good evening. So at the last meeting, the council reviewed a proposed new ordinance on the use of compression brakes. Mayor had prepared a draft based on county's ordinance. Gavin in from my office went through that draft and made some changes, and we pushed out an email to all of you explaining our decision in-house as to what we would propose. Two things. One is the county ordinance is premised on signage, so that you can't use compression brakes where there's signage that tells you. We removed that partly based on the comments at the last meeting that within the city of Lincoln, there would be areas where a J brake would be appropriate, and so we've taken that out.
Excuse me, sir.
And then also, we inserted the same potential fine, $50 for a violation. So that's how it's being presented for your review. If you want to move forward with this, then someone would have to move to approve a first reading. Or if you want us to make some additional changes, we certainly can bring that.
And wishes of council.
I would move to approve a first reading.
We have a motion to approve the first reading from Councilman Artavia,
A second.
a second by Councilman Bjornstad. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? And so moved. And if we could get a roll call vote on that, please.
Bjornston,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
and Artavia. Yes.
Under number 9, discussion of procurement and disposition ordinance change to set a higher selling limit of $3,000. Or which is 3,000 currently.
Correct. Yeah. Like, there's one sheet in each of our packets regarding the disposition, which would be the sale of the city's property. Currently, it's at $3,000. As Director Shute of Public Works Department spoke at the last meeting, kind of ran into some hangups with selling some of the property through bids, primarily on the procurement site. And they add additional fees onto there to people that want to buy. And when it's a smaller piece of property, adding that fee on can really increase the price of that property, if that makes sense. For example, That was the pressure washer that you were working on selling at that time,
Mower.
or the mower? The fee just for selling the mower that the person who was bidding would have to pay ended up being about $500. Which compared to what the price of the mower itself was a pretty substantial amount. So we brought this up basically just to bring up some discussion if we want to increase this amount to where the city can sell property at a higher dollar value without having to go to the bids yet. I mean, I feel we still want to have a dollar limit set. But wondering if we maybe want to consider moving up the $3,000 to maybe around like 5,000 or 6,000. Knowing what the price of things are today compared to 2 or 6 years ago, things change pretty fast. Would anyone have any objections to increasing this dollar value? And if so, is anybody thoughts on this? Or it's not go above?
I don't have any objections, Councilmember Urinstead. I think that $5,000 sounds like a great place to land.
I would agree, Councilman Stead as well, with Artavia. On the notion, I don't foresee it, going as high as 10,000 at this point. But I think 5,000, 6,000, a nice step and allows us more wiggle room as well.
I will admit, my digging into this it's kind of limited, but I don't know if there would be state requirements.
So I think the concern from a legal standpoint is that the current requirement is that the sale be advertised to accept bids, not that the city has to use an online service or anything else. It's just simply that you have to advertise that you have this item that you're selling and then allow all of the public to put a bid in. And I did a little bit of looking at what Bismarck's code says and what Mandan's code says. And interestingly enough, on the purchase side, when those municipalities purchase items, their threshold for on the open market is higher than Lincoln's. And so that they have less requirements when you purchase, but on the sale side, the $3,000 threshold is fairly consistent. And I guess what my concern would be from a kind of just a protecting the city standpoint is that what the city wants to avoid is a situation where the city starts selling items to insiders without getting maximum value for whatever they're selling. And the disinfectant or the way you preclude that is you open up the sale. So, I mean, what I would be in favor of, let me back up one other step. So what some of the other codes, what Bismarck and Mandan have in their codes is they have a threshold, like if it's under this amount, you can just sell it. If it's over this amount, it's a more formal process. And if it's in the middle, then the process is more than just selling the item without anything, but some kind of approval in the middle. And I would suggest that might make sense where in the middle, maybe what has to happen is it has to come to the council and the council has to approve the sale or something. Again, what my concern is enshrining something in the ordinances that would allow for a sale of an item without real oversight about who's allowed to bid on it, how you get to that purchase price.
So you're kind of thinking it'd be better set up like a 3-tier, and then we could, or when it comes to the bidding process, just probably look at the process that the city takes rather than necessarily going through a particular website.
Yeah, because right now what the requirement isn't, again, the requirement is just that if you want to sell a lawnmower, you have to advertise the sale in the paper. And that by doing that, you should be saying, look, if you're interested, put a bid in. And then, like a bid opening for any of the other contracts that the city does. We need to do it at the council level. I mean, I don't know that you have to go through an online service and have incur those fees and things, but what I would suggest is a process that maybe builds a little more flexibility so that under a certain threshold, then the Department of Public Works or whatever, just sell it. It's not worth all the time to do it. And then over a certain amount, then you know, maybe for certain we want to have solicit bids, but then in the middle, maybe the director would come and suggest, this is what I have this item and here's what I'm suggesting to sell it. And then when I found the buyer, I'll come back to you. I don't know if that's workable or not. But that's what I would suggest.
Yeah, council mayor, or basically what I was looking for is just to raise the amount before I have to come to council and get it approved to sell it. So we'd still do the advertising, it in the paper, still do all that, still put it out for bids, but it would just be $5,000 or $6,000, whatever you guys decide, before I would have to come to you to get approval to sell it, is the thing. So we would still do the whole bidding process with everything and advertising at a certain amount and everything like that. We're just trying to get it because, well, right now you can't really sell too much for under $3,000. So I have to get you guys' approval and then put it all on the website. It just takes that much longer to do it, and instead of just raising up the price to be able to sell it on or put it out for the bid process right away is basically what we're kind of looking for. But what attorney said with the whole under a certain price, something like that, that sounds like it would work just fine for anything that we're gonna do, because we do sell a lot of smaller stuff on there that doesn't even hit $1,000. So like if we could set up something where you could sell it and not have to, the whole thing with like what he was describing would be a great thing, I think so.
I think this process is probably primarily gonna be concerning the public works department, like equipment and stuff like that. Probably more so than most of the other departments with the city. If the rest of the council is okay with it, maybe I'll have a meeting with the director and kind of see where some dollar limits are that we might look at setting up a tiered policy and then bring it to the next council meeting and see if that's something that everybody can work for the city as a whole.
I like that idea.
And I think there's some good language. I can say that overall helpful, and we don't have to reinvent to be on the shirts under municipalities that have done that for us, so.
So that was the disposition part of it. There's also the procurement part. And we provide each of you with this city of Mandan procurement requirements that Director Shu was able to define. I think it would be good if we would adopt a policy like this, another tiered system. Obviously, their dollar amounts are quite a bit higher than what we go with, considering our city budget like that. Some of the tiers that I would probably look at proposing would be for this first micro purchase that we refer to, where the department supervisor or manager can just go and make the purchase. I would probably suggest something around 0 to 5,000. The next level where the supervisor manager would be able to solicit bids on their own, I would suggest doing something around 5 to 10,000. Level 3, the small purchase, the director of the department would then solicit formal bids. I would do 10 to 15,000. And then anything 15,000 and up would go through formal RFPs. That was just an initial thought for how I would look at it. Obviously, I just dropped this off this evening for you guys to look at. So if you guys would like to take a little time and review that, see it, you know, idea of dollar values, if those sound good to you, if you think there should be other changes, I would definitely be open to that. Does anybody have any questions or concerns about adopting kind of a tiered policy like that?
I don't have any problems with it, no, that system would.
You guys, be want to look it over and then before the next meeting, let me know if there's any concerns you have or if you think we should see different dollar amounts than what I propose. I can always email those numbers to you as well, just so you have it.
I personally like the 5,000 increment. It's more conservative than, obviously even the way this goes, obviously their budget is a little bit
Yeah,
higher than ours, but it doesn't, yeah. But other than those $5,000 increments, what are you gonna do, 2,500 or $1,000 at a time?
I feel like it's that's good. Yeah, it's not too small that you're gonna be constantly changing your process every other time you're selling or buying something. But it's also not too large that things are gonna fall through the cracks. $5 value item that should go up for bids, it's just gonna go and be bought. There might be better options.
Well, and the only thing I would think that, even though we have the purchase power, you know, at that micro purchase amount, that still, that council would be aware of, I mean, even if it is after the fact, say, hey, just so you know, or you're aware, this purchase did happen, and we've already then included it in our inventory list with our rotation in and out, and that's.
Madam Mayor, if it would be helpful, I can send you procurement code and mandates. They might have some internal policies that are consistent with this, but in their actual codes, they have a lower threshold where you just go out in the open market and buy it. And they have an upper threshold purchasing where you have to do a bid process. And then they have the gap between those two, where there is some documentation that is required to be, they have to some solicitation and legwork is required before you can spend the money. And I looked at that with anticipation of this conversation, and I'll shoot those out to you, to all of you, so you just take a look at it. You can give us direction and what you'd like to see. You can post some amendments to the ordinance to get that far, but again, other cities have dealt with this kind of low threshold and the having processes burdensome and have come up with kind of easy, more formal, and then a middle ground. And I think that makes sense for the city as well. It's just really trying to figure out where those numbers should be. So I think what suggestions.
Councilman Bjornstadt, could you go over the levels, the dollar amounts for each level one more time with us?
Yeah, so level 1 was 0 to 5,000. Level 2 was 5 to 10,000. 3 was 10,000, 15,000, and the last one was 15,000.
And so we should keep that then on old business for that. All right, next under new business, we have Mr. James Sauter. Here for discussion of Apple Creek Bubble Home Community Annexation. No, it's replaced.
In regards to what you were just talking about, it's been my experience in life where I know that one city received from the federal government a bunch of equipment for their airport. Well, needless to say, the county commissioners and who else was involved ended up selling all this equipment that was donated to them by the federal government to their good friends. So the higher you make your limit, the more element of fraud you will have. That's all I have to say about that issue. No, about the annexation of Lincoln. None of you were here back in 2019, because I don't recognize any of you. None of you were on the commission back then, were you? Okay. And the attorney was not here then either.
We're all new.
Because I didn't recognize any of it. And one
I'm
other
sorry,
question.
sir, you're referencing the annexation of the Apple Creek.
Well, illegally into the city of Lincoln, that's what I'm talking about. Does that monitor there. How long have you had that for your public meetings?
The TV.
Yeah, is this recorded on that as your open public records?
It's on the city's website.
Okay, did they have that also in 2019? I don't recall ever seeing that until the last meeting out here. I don't think we
No idea.
I don't think they had that.
Tammy, did we have the TV in 2019? No, we did not have the TV in 2019.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, because an annexation was done illegally for the following reasons. First off, you annexed it to Austin Burke. Ken Roy sold it to Austin Burke. You guys annexed it in. Austin Burke has more addresses than a spider has webs. He's a very deceptive person who nobody ever knows where he's at, where he lives. He annexed, he was incorporated LLC in the state of Maryland under North Dakota Communities LLC address 10221 River Road, number 59831, Potomac, Maryland. Well, I contacted Secretary of State's office in Maryland. He was suspended because he gave a false address on his incorporations and under their LLC for LLCs as far as entering into contracts in other states. He was listed as void. He's as far as I can tell, he has Maryland listed as an address. He had Ruskin, Florida listed as an address. He had Miami, Florida listed as an address. He had Coconut Grove listed as an address. And speaking of Florida, I checked with the Secretary of State of Florida. In Florida, he has violations of laundry list that long. So he had to go to Maryland and get his LLC because Florida would have never given him one. He said there's so much trouble there. So then you guys annexed him. You guys did no vetting of him. He just come in here and nobody even, if you apply one mobile home card doesn't a background check on tenants. Why does not the city of Lincoln do background checks on LLCs before they allow them in here? It's my question. Furthermore, the annexation was illegal for the following. That's one. He was not even licensed to conduct business in the state of North Dakota, down at the where you register for it at. For the entire time he was in the state of North Dakota. He was not even licensed to do business in North Dakota, the entire time he was here. And if you're not licensed, you cannot enter into a contract in the state of North Dakota. It's a violation of North Dakota law. Then the city of Lincoln hired somebody from local law firm to get them annexed. What do they do? What does the attorney do? He annexes a whole section of land out here, which included the northwest corner of the section, the mobile home park. Well, according to law, North Dakota Central Court 40-51-203, 75% of electors, the people who live in the mobile home park, have the right to vote on it. That vote was denied. You're shaking your head no.
No, that's not, but I'm sorry, sir, but it's the property owner.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I'm just telling you that it's the property owner, not the tenants.
The property owner. What has more rights in the Constitution of the United States? Real property owners or private property owners?
I'm not gonna have a general discussion with you about.
Oh, it's very simple. It's one or the other. Take a guess.
What I can tell you is that what the annexation statute says.
Well, here it is right here.
Right. I don't need to give it to you. What the annexation statute says is that when a city annexes property, it's required to give notice to the owners of the property.
By certified mail,
Yes.
and they did not do that either.
And the owners then have an opportunity to object.
Yeah,
And with the annexation of the Apple Creek Mobile Home Park, the owners did object. And then.
the owners of the real property you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, well, because they made money on it,
And
that's
then-
why, you quid pro quo.
Then it went to mediation under the statute.
Yeah.
Between the city and the owner. And then that mediation was resolved with the city removing its objection to the annexation. The annexation was completed. It is I mean, I understand that you don't believe it's legal, but even if there was an error in the annexation at the time it was done, that error can no longer be challenged.
Well, yeah, because I just found out about it in July when I got this last, when Osprey took over. And talk about a violation of private, constitutional private property rights. What the city of Lincoln did by allowing, Austin Burke and now Osprey into here is they opened the door for a complete evasion by property managers of the tenants' private property constitutional rights are being violated. Have you ever read their ridiculous lease agreements that they offered to the tenants? From Osprey also?
I have,
What do you think of that?
I have an opinion about that.
You don't have an opinion.
No, it's.
I don't like it.
It's
I wouldn't
not,
have it either.
it's not a legal issue for the city of Lincoln. It's an issue between the tenants and the property owners. It's not a city of Lincoln issue. It's a private contract between the tenants of that mobile home park and the owners of the
Well, that's
mobile home park.
just-
It's not a city of Lincoln issue, sir.
You're gonna contest what I'm saying here.
No, I'm not. I guess the question I would have is what are you asking the city to do?
What I'm asking the city to do is because we were annexed illegally, unlawfully, and all of these constitutional violations. And the city of Lincoln's main goal in annexing the mobile home park in there was for money. The first, because in your
Sir, what are you asking the city to do?
I wanted to give the tenants of the mobile home park the $612,000 back, plus change that you guys have collected from the Apple Creek Mobile Home Park tenants at the beginning of your garbage service that you did unlawfully. That was always included in everybody's lot rent since the beginning of time of that mobile home park.
Okay.
And Ken Royce even paid for it when you made that quid pro quo deal with Austin Burke, the man with 1,000 addresses.
I'm just trying to understand what you're asking.
Okay.
You're asking if the city is going to return property tax money to whom?
No, we didn't get no property tax.
Okay, I mean,
Garbage fees to all the residents located in Apple Creek Mobile Home Park that you had no right to annex, you had no right to take over the garbage. And you even had the intentions of taking over the water at one time, but that's impossible because you can't do that. Because
Sir.
What?
Just
I'm just,
A little less.
I'm not, I don't want to argue with you. I just want to understand what you're asking the city to do.
I want you to I want the Lincoln is not legally, the mobile home park is not legally annexed into Lincoln, okay? Number one. Number two, you're collecting monies from the tenants unlawfully. Number two, you're going to do it on water too, but you can't do that. Because there's a difference between real property and private property. In the Constitution of the United States, private property, special protection has more supremacy and power over real property.
I
You do have to.
I don't need to have a conversation with you about the law. Just tell me what it is that you want the
I
city
think
to
you should
do.
go study it.
I understand, but tell me what it is that, what.
I want you guys to withdraw the annexation
Okay,
and let us go back to be an unincorporated place. And we don't need, all that has occurred since you annexed this is these property managers have it's like an equity theft scam. They've raised our rent so high, nobody wants to move in there, you can't sell a place, because who wants to go in there and pay their rents and pay you guys what you're paying? In this economy, you are devaluating our property. It's like equity theft.
What you're saying is that your ability to sell your manufactured home is decreased because it's part of that. I mean, I just want to understand, that's what, when you say your property, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
yeah, absolutely. And they're doing this in other parts of the country. Actually, some communities in the United States are like teaming up with property managements because the cities realize that if they can clear out the mobile home park entirely and put in single family homes, your tax base will increase dramatically. And that may be your whole motive behind what you guys are trying to do. I'm not sure. But I tell you what, from the property management end of it, they're sure accomplished in their part of the deal. And to begin with, you guys got $250,000 extra funding per year, which came from the federal government to North Dakota, then the North Dakota State of North Dakota music. You guys get $250,000 a year more for that. That was your home motive. Home motive is money, nothing but money.
I mean, I think I understand what this concern is, legal concern.
Yeah. Do you?
I think so.
Okay. Do you agree that our constitutional rights have been violated?
No,
You read the lease and you don't agree that our constitution.
I don't have.
You know what a right of first refusal is?
I don't have an, sir, I don't represent you. I don't represent the manufactured home or the owner of the park. I'm not gonna give you legal opinions about the legality of a lease.
Oh, I know.
My client is.
Believe me, I know the law. I put $1,100 of work into this case.
Again, I'm not arguing with you, just saying I'm not going to give you opinions about a private matter between.
You
tenants.
will be hearing from legal authorities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And I just, for the councils, I have reviewed the annexation. I believe it was done legally when it was completed. The city followed the statutory process. The city then, once the city has recorded the annexation resolution, it becomes a final matter. It's annexed. There's an appeal time. Well, I should say that there isn't an appeal in the process. It is final. There is a statutory process for de-annexing property. But not based on, not it, but a city can annex property and it can de-annex property, but that process is also limited by statute. And it wouldn't be because the city has done something that as this gentleman suggests, that was illegal. It would be because there's some reason to return the property out of the city, and I don't think that exists here. So I believe this gentleman had previously provided to the city police department a copy of the lease that he's upset about. Getting, I looked at that because it came to us as a citizen's complaint that somebody was committing a crime in the city of Lincoln. So we did look at it, and I'm satisfied that this complaint is with the property owner and not with the city.
Thank you for the clarification. Next, any other discussion on? No. We have now number 11, approval of conflict. Council as substitute city prosecutor.
Madam Mayor, members of council, so my office does the prosecution for the city of Lincoln. One of the disadvantages of being a law firm with multiple lawyers is every once in a while we run across a situation where we're trying to prosecute somebody and the law firm has a conflict. So we're precluded by our ethical rules from being adverse to certain former clients or people that we have had dealings with in the past. We have I think, one or two cases like that right now that are pending. We reached out to attorney Chris Redmond. Mr. Redmond does some prosecution work for Sioux County. He's a well-regarded lawyer. We had asked if he would be willing to step in and serve as conflict counsel on a particular case at the same rate that Gavin is charging the city. He said that he would help us out with that until we can find a more long-term solution. But we wanted to bring that to the council for a resolution for approval for us to retain him to represent the city in this criminal matter.
Make a motion to approve the conflict council as substitute for city prosecutor.
We have a motion by Councilman Davis. Second,
A second.
second by Councilman Bjornsted. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? And if we could get a roll call.
Yes.
Davis.
yes,
And Burns.
Yes.
All right, so number 12, I had asked to amend the agenda to include the fire emergency and burn restrictions tied to daily fire danger rating. On Monday, March 17th, we were contacted by Mary Singer, the director of the Burleigh County Emergency Management, asking for signature on the declaration that they were putting out. And I did sign it. It's now therefore be it resolved, the Board of City of Lincoln Commissioners declares a fire emergency and burn restriction effective when the North Dakota Rangeland Fire Danger Rating is in the high, very high, extreme rating, and or a red flag warning has been issued for Burleigh County, North Dakota, effective immediately until rescinded or through October 31, 2025. This is a 7-day declaration that I, as mayor, am able to do, but at the same time, then I would come to council to affirm that declaration. And that is, basically a formality, because in our ordinance already, we talk, or it is that we follow the county's burn.
I was just gonna ask that. I thought there was already something in there following like red flag.
Yes, and it is. With that also, I will be coming to the next council meeting with a proposed amendment to our current ordinance, because there is in that ordinance that we follow Burleigh counties, but there is no reference to North Dakota Century Code and the fact that it's a Class B misdemeanor, and it's just outlining what's already, we just don't have it listed anymore. So it would just be a simple amendment, clerical. But anyways, with this, I would ask for the council to affirm the declaration that was signed on March 17th.
make a motion to affirm the declaration that was signed for the fire on 17th.
We have a first by Councilman Davis. Is there a second?
I'll second.
The second by Councilman Bjornsted. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? And if we can get a roll call, please.
Ernstine,
Yes.
Davis,
yes,
and Artavia.
Yes.
Great, thank you. And at this point, number 12, the attorney report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a few things, just to kind of keep the council updated on the status of things that we're working on in my office. First, the capital electric maintenance agreement, we pushed out a draft of that to capital electric's attorney, and I just haven't received it back yet, which is not surprising. I'm expecting that we'll get something here in the near future, and when we do, I'll push it out for your review. I am in the process of working with SEH to try to put a pavement management contract together. And so hopefully we'll have something for you at the next meeting, or we might need an executive session for attorney consultation on some terms, depending on how those discussions go. We're working on, as part of the city's audits, we're working on our part of the audit review letters, and taking a little bit of extra time just because both Chris and Norwegiana and Justin are no longer with the firm, so knowing what exactly it might have been. These are for years like 22 and 23, so the quickest way for me is I downloaded your minutes and I'm just kind of going through the minutes to make sure that I'm capturing any kind of potential litigation or claims matters for those years. It doesn't look like there's anything there, but hopefully we'll have that done either tomorrow or early next week. Drake and I are working on some PUD issues and might have to rely on staff here because I don't know that we have. What the issue is that we're trying to locate the actual PUDs to find out what the kind of the zoning requirements were when they were set up. And I'm not sure they're captured in my records, and that would be great, so you can find them. So just kind of working on that.
Tammy was able to find one of them,
Okay, good.
so.
All right.
But yeah, that would be.
And then some of you might know that just in the last couple of days, the city did receive notice from the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission that former officer Skylar Terrell has filed a complaint against the city. I'm not really going to go into any details here. Jesse Wallstead from my office is going to assist with this matter, and when we have more information, we'll schedule an executive session for attorney consultation on the matter. But I just wanted to let you know that is pending. And so at this point, we would ask that any kind of communications or inquiries about this matter be directed to Mr. Wallstead, and that nobody with the city should be discussing any part of the complaint or any of the issues surrounding his employment here at the city. Like I said, we'll have a more formal review of where we're at with that, hopefully at the next meeting. And that also might require an executive session, and if so, we'll ask it based on the calendar.
Thank you.
And Greg sent me some stuff, and I have some things on my list as far as the sewer regionalization, and so hopefully we'll have an update for the next meeting on some of those issues as well.
Okay. Thank you. Under portfolios, we have Councilman Davis.
So my apologies, I have not been in office for months with my personal health issues, so I have no update for this meeting.
Well, it's good to see you back and healthy. All right, Councilwoman Artavia.
The only thing that I have to discuss is just that burn ban that was mentioned before. If people will please adhere to the Brother County burn ban, and we as a city adhere to their burn ban and their policies, and that is in place right now. There's no further updates that I have at this time, and if you want to go to experience.arcgis.com, then you can get further information about the burn ban that's currently in place for the county.
Hopefully this was made.
Yes. Very nice of you. Councilman Bjornstead.
Public Works Department worked on cleaning a couple of storm drains, Santi and Dakota Lane. The guys have been on streets, getting things cleaned up. Our employee Bryce worked on grading all the gravel roads that are in town, and he passed his CPL test, so congratulations to him. And then spring cleanup has been scheduled. It was initially mentioned to be at the end of April, but with the conflict with Easter weekend, a lot of people weren't too happy with that. So the public works director was able to work these out with Trans Trash, and it has been moved to May 3rd. It'll be 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And it'll be beyond the public works building here like it has in previous years. So mark your calendars.
Great, perfect. And Councilman Shoemaker is traveling for work this week. However, he did send me a note that said the only thing that he has to report is that there was an email sent to you, Mary, summarizing the EDC's March 11th, 2025 meeting to keep the momentum going with them, with all of the work that they're doing for the city. In that email, he did mention the request for you, Mary, to assist with the City of Lincoln logo, and that the students are getting involved with some of this Lincoln activity group also. So that's good. That's good to hear that we've got some of that interest in their marketing department and likewise with our community. So under my portfolio, I would just like to say that a lot of things going on, a lot of learning that happened the last couple of days. The League of Cities had their spring conference for elected officials training. And one of the things that's in your handout is this fund summary report. This is a presentation by the auditor from the city of Carrington. And so the numbers aren't for the city, but with budget season coming up, I thought it was a great opportunity to share with our council. We're all relatively new, and this might be some of our first budget season going through, and it just gives definitions of what some of the special revenues and expenses that are going to be presented to us here later this fall. So it's just an informational piece. The expansion remodel right now, information is with our city engineer to kind of take a look at some of the recommendations or things that we're looking at. So thank you for taking care of that. We'll be meeting more and presenting some more information later. Is that as well? That's what I have. And oh, the deadline for the zip code appeal is next week. And I'm just fine tuning that letter. So we'll see how that goes. But I'll let you know. All right, and that's what I've got. So auditor.
Tammy and I were at the North Dakota League of Cities yesterday and part of today. I did include in your guys' packet, just for your own information. It has to do with social media and things that you should and shouldn't do, or and I just set it in there just for you guys' information. It's got good information. It's got some information about what could open the city to lawsuits on social media, personal social media versus putting things out there regarding, you know, the city itself, and it talks about different lawsuits, etc. It just really good information. I'm waiting on Monty to finish up his review for the state audit, and then they will finish up their review and then let us know when they'll release all of that, and which time they'll be coming out to the city to go over the results of those audits. I didn't get a February statement done. I've been in and out and had time to finish it out, so I'll work on that this weekend. That's all I have. Oh, we did get some prairie dog phones. I don't have any system because they only came out last week, Friday the 14th. It was like 700 some thousand. I don't remember the exact amount, but so we got 500,000 at the end of December, and now we got 700 and some in last week, Friday, March 14th. Perfect.
And just as a reminder, we've got annual reviews that will be coming up, so it'll be part of the process. One of the questions that was approached to me was the fact that we do our reviews now But those raises don't necessarily go into effect until January of the following year, so if we wanted, pretty big gap. So if we want to talk about that or start thinking about that, maybe revising. But, which reminds me, I did finish a draft of, let's see if I've got it written here. I tried to print out, but our printer seems to be acting up, not wanting to cooperate. But I separated the mayor and council member handbook from the code of ethics, conduct for elected and appointed officials, just so there's not so much information, and we have more of a procedure policy manual specifically for us.
Makes sense. Separate those two.
Great, and so what I'll do is I'll just print those and maybe put them in your mailboxes for you to take a look at your leisure, and maybe provide any feedback at the next council meeting, so. Any other business before council? All right, at 6:55, we stand adjourned.